You are listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So, if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or his Substack. Or simply buy him a coffee with a one-off donation, links to which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get on with the show.
Right, anyway, good morning. Debbie, here we are again. Just so everybody knows, we did a trial run of a podcast yesterday, and then I was like, no, let's do it again properly. Because I didn't look at all the things that you sent me. And then once I did, I was like, wow. Anyway, what were you saying about my X feed? What were you saying about the X?
Well, actually, because we spoke yesterday, and obviously that sparked your attention, so you put out a couple of X posts, just a couple of sentences really, asking people about cancer, asking people about mRNA injections, and you got quite a big response, I noticed.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at them. So, I mean, to be honest, right, it's like, you know, I'm just saying, like, look, important, cancer, do not ignore. And I know this is stuff that already Kevin McKernan, I think that's his name, talked about last year. But, you know, the COVID mRNA jabs have been shown to have contamination and include bits of SV40 promoter sequence. And that's a bit of what we call the simian virus number 40. Everybody who doesn't believe in viruses, just, you know, hold on to your panties and don't get too excited. Let's just go with this, okay? So anyway, multiple studies have shown that this SV40 promoter sequence, there's a link between that and the development of cancer. And I'm actually going to be writing a Substack. I found lots of research articles, you know, with linking lots of different types of cancer, mesothelioma, brain cancer, you know, stuff like that. So why is SV40 promoter actually used? Well, it's used in research and biotechnology because it drives expression of recombinant proteins in plasmids and gene therapy vectors. And it's important, you know, when they're doing genetically modified cells and so-called vaccines to enhance gene transcription. This is all the stuff that they need for the mRNA tech. So it helps kind of like get the machinery going, but it also promotes the growth of cells. I think it downregulates P53 or something. So, you know, there's a role in cancers with this SV40. And so, it begs the question, could this be behind the shocking rise in cancers, especially young people that you never really hear of before, around the world? And I think it certainly looks like it. And so the mRNA COVID shots were injected into billions and are now probably causing skyrocketing rates of cancer. Everyone in the last few years knows someone who has or has died of cancer. Since the shots were rolled out, the largest human experiment in history, the greatest crime against humanity. And the authorities, the politicians, Big Pharma, and the doctors are gaslighting everyone, right? And to add insult to injury, they're now saying, hey, you know, for all these cancers, we should give some mRNA jabs to treat the cancers, the very same jabs that caused the cancer in the first place. And I know it sounds so insane and so incomprehensible. Like, it can't be like that. It can't be this. Like, it's so ludicrous. No way. This sheer evil design, I mean, it's so ridiculous. No one could really believe that. Well, actually, yeah, that is how it works. Oh, you wrote a comment there, actually. Hold on a sec. So, what did you say? It's not just SV40. The mRNA will carry an AI biosensor. Yeah, I've heard about all that kind of stuff, but yeah, I was just going to talk about cancer. Anyway, then I joked, I can't wait for a prophylactic mRNA anti-cancer, anti-heart attack, anti-depression, anti-aging, anti-dementia, anti-arthritis, anti-vaxxer, anti-whatever mRNA jab to come out. And then you found, incredibly, from 15 years ago, a prophylactic mRNA vaccination against allergy. I was like, what? It's actually real.
The only one, actually, Ahmed. I did send you another one from, I think it was 2010.
Oh, Lord.
But prophylactic mRNA has been on the agenda for a very long time.
Oh my God. And then I simply asked, I said, why are they, whoever they are, hell bent on getting every human being on the planet injected with mRNA? And I think that's the tweet you're probably talking about, the post, because it's been liked by, over 5,000 people and it's been viewed by 140,000. So I think that's resonating clearly with a lot of people. People are like, yeah, what the hell is it? What is it? Why are they hell bent on getting us all jabbed up with mRNA? It's kind of insane, isn't it?
Yeah, completely insane. And, at the end of the day, I'm a researcher. So when I start to notice patterns in things that alert me to red flags that I think is of public interest, I want to bring it to the public's attention, because we're all looking at pandemics in inverted commas. What's going to be the next one coming down the line? Is it going to be avian or whatever? But actually, we're surrounded already. We're within a cancer pandemic, and I'm worried that we're kind of almost normalizing it and not taking any notice of it. And we should be taking a lot of notice of it, because cancer is $1 trillion industry, and everyone has got their fingers in the cancer pie.
Yeah. Right. Listen, well, I want to talk about this for a second. Can you see the screen?
I can.
Right. So you've done the little PowerPoint presentation. Can you talk me through this? What's going on here?
Yeah, so you can skip slide 2 for a start when we get there, because that's not relevant anymore. But I wanted to point out the NHS long-term plan, because I'd been doing a lot of research into the NHS long-term plan, and I'd noticed an awful lot of references to cancer. Cancer is on the agenda big time within the NHS 10-year long-term plan for children, CAR-T, different new pioneering cancer therapies. I also noticed that they'd doubled the budget for children's palliative care, which worried me slightly. So all of this cancer agenda has already been laid out in the 10-year plan. And then when you go to the Cancer Act, because actually the United Kingdom has a Cancer Act, this goes back, I think, what date is it there? 1939. Now, I've crossed out everything that no longer is law. So the only thing left in that law is number 4, prohibition of certain advertisements. And that was really to stop advertisements for cancer on media, so on television, on radio, so people didn't feel as though they were being pushed into a specific therapy. So that still stands.
So can I just quickly ask you something? So if I'm not mistaken, back in 1939, cancer still wasn't that big a thing.
No.
And what I'm curious about is, why is it just cancer that's been singled out back in 1939 that you can't talk about alternative treatments to cancer? And is it not just in the Cancer Act also that the only people who can treat cancer are oncologists? You can't advertise it. You can't discuss alternative treatments, and that's a bit strange. I don't know of any other medical condition which has got that kind of strict stipulation. What's that all about?
No, I agree. And in contrast, I think it's a very good question, Ahmed, and I don't have the answer to it. But in contrast, in the United States, I'm told that there are adverts wall to wall for pharmaceuticals, all pharmaceuticals, including cancer therapies. And I think that's one of the reasons that clause has remained, because of the NHS, and perhaps we're not able to get therapies and medications that other countries with private health systems can get. But
well, I mean, look, devil's advocate, right? I don't like big pharma advertising. We've seen what it does. There's only 2 countries in the world, and that's in America and New Zealand. And they're papering wall to wall, like you said, adverts, pushing people to take drugs. It's on primetime news. They're funding all the news, the newspapers, and there's clearly conflicts of interest, and they're manipulating public perception. Equally, I'm not a fan of regulations and governments telling people what they can and cannot do. So I don't like governments saying, you're not allowed to talk about any other kind of treatment and alternative treatment, because that's effectively censorship, because then the only information you can get is through the NHS, is through the government websites, is through your oncologist. So alternative therapies, will never ever see the light of day, and people then won't know that there are potentially other ways of treating cancer. So I'm not a fan of wall-to-wall adverts and big pharma pushing on media, and basically propagandizing and brainwashing people into taking their toxic gloop. That's basically snake oils people, like, in the past, just taking advantage of desperate people. But at the same time, I'm not happy with government regulating what we can and cannot do. I mean, so, you're kind of like between a rock and a hard place. And to be honest, if I really had to choose anything, I'd be like, we should have just the freedom to do whatever we like. And we need to educate the population to be wary of big pharma and to be savvy enough that when you see these adverts and these hopium, kind of statements being made, have a bit of discernment and don't be gullible, rather than the government censorship. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, total sense. And, the other thing that's happened fairly recently in the UK is that we've been thrown this statistic: 1 in 2 get cancer. Only 1 in 2 people will be diagnosed with cancer, but 2 in 5 cancers are preventable. Now, this statistic, I don't know about you, Ahmed, you've been a doctor for a long time. I don't know where this statistic came, but I did check the World Health Organization. And according to the World Health Organization, actually their statistic is 1 in 5 people will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. So we have 2 very different statistics, one from the NHS, one from the WHO. I don't know if either are true or neither are true.
Yeah, well, the thing is, back in 1990s, when I was in med school, we were told, I remember a lecture very clearly, and they said, look around you, 1 in 5 of you or 1 in 4 of you will develop cancer in your lifetime. I remember them saying that. And we were like, ooh, which one of it is going to be us with cancer? It certainly wasn't 1 in 2, right? It was definitely not. I mean, that's a big jump. But I'm not actually surprised because I see cancer growing everywhere. And I think it's not surprising when you realize that cancer, like Thomas Seyfried and Travis Christofferson and lots of other scientists have, and people have looked into this, researchers have looked into this. Cancer is a metabolic disease for the main part. It's about hyperinsulinemia. It's about type 2 diabetes. It's, that's what drives the cancer. So if you just have a look around you and look at obesity and look at the incredible rising rates of diabetes, it's not surprising that cancer's gone up. But, when they say 2 in 5 cancers are preventable, I wonder why they're saying that and what is the agenda? And is it like, we're talking about preventable mRNA jabs? I would argue that's a false statement. I would say it's at least 9 out of 10 cancers are preventable, and it comes back to lifestyle, diet, fasting, and avoiding developing that type 2 diabetes state. So you're right. I don't know where the statistics are coming from. It's a bit fudgy.
I'll be able to maybe shed some light on that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, go to the next slide, Ahmed, because the question is the latest research on why so many young adults are getting cancer, and the specific cancers they appear to be getting: colorectal, breast, prostate. And of course, they're all having tests. And it isn't just that article that I've looked at. There are many. There's a BBC Future article as well on the next slide, which tells you early-onset cancer. So you have to ask yourself, why are all these young people?
Well, I think we answered that right at the beginning. I mean, so just in case people don't know what I'm looking at and they're listening, for example, on Apple Podcasts or something, this is a slide from January the 16th this year, 2025. The latest research on why so many young adults are getting cancer. And it says, one forecast predicts cancer for this age group will increase by 30% globally from 2019 to 2030. This is serious and worrisome, says Shari Goldfarb, MD. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. I mean, the thing is, it's a big elephant in the room, isn't it? Like, since 2019, what is the one thing that's changed around the world globally? What is the one thing? The mRNA jabs. So, I mean, this is what I mean by gaslighting. I just feel like, what is going on? And it comes back to, a tweet that I did. And, I'm just going to mention it because I think it is important. I was telling people, on my feed, this was really aimed for the doctors. I said, while my former colleagues have comfortable lifestyles, living in large homes, driving fancy cars, and going on expensive holidays, they're devoid of happiness. Their lives are empty and without meaning. Their relationships shallow and insincere. They fail to acknowledge the criminality of COVID, the gross violation of medical ethics, and how their silence made them complicit. They know deep down that they are wrong and that they weren't brave enough to speak up when the time called them for them to do so. Every day they choose to ignore the signs that the mRNA jabs are causing harm to themselves, their loved ones, and their patients. To do so will mean facing up to the painful truth that they were duped and that they are in the wrong. They are living a lie, and that can only consume you, eating you up until you feel dead inside. And I said, while I'm not materially wealthy, I'm rich in love, true friendships, and purpose, and I live the most authentic life. I love humanity and have no regrets. I am at peace with myself, and I wouldn't trade myself for anything. And I think this is the problem. I think so many doctors now don't want to face the reality. They're just digging deeper rather than just saying, "Oh shit, maybe there's something with these mRNA jabs. Maybe we got it wrong." They're doubling down. They're just digging a deeper and deeper hole. Don't you think so?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And we have so much evidence. I mean, enough to sink the Titanic pretty much on how dangerous these injections are. And I do think there's willful ignorance, but I think that there are an awful lot of new people coming into the system that don't have the training or the ethics or the vocation that doctors like you and I and your colleagues know. Many of them are leaving the NHS. We don't know who we have in the NHS at the moment. We have got no clue. I've heard from many people saying that they're speaking to people, they don't know what qualifications they've got. If they're a qualified surgeon, a doctor, a nurse, they haven't got a clue. And I think that's where the danger lies, in this kind of almost willful ignorance, which you might be interested to know has got a term now. It's got a label. It's called something like Cassandra's regret.
Oh.
And this is when you, this is Cassandra's regret is when you keep showing people the evidence, you keep telling them the truth, and they still ignore it. And it's willful ignorance. Yeah, check it out, Cassandra's regret.
Okay, wow, will do. Well, back to your slide, just in case, again, people who aren't seeing this, the next slide was BBC Future. It says, some article or series about, and it goes, and it, in quotes, "These are people in the prime of life. The worrying puzzle behind the rise in early onset cancer." Again, no shit, Sherlock. Like, it ain't hard. Oh, here's my friend. Right, the next slide is my friend Angus Dalgleish, Professor Angus Dalgleish. Professor in cancer vaccines. He spent so much of his career developing cancer vaccines, which have never actually worked. I mean, I wonder what that's like, doing something for years and years and never actually being successful at it. I would get quite demoralized by that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Anyway, top UK oncology professor Angus Dalgleish is seeing cancers relapse after the patient receives a COVID-19 booster vaccine. Exactly as cancer activist Chris Williams is seeing too. Dalgleish has called for all the mRNA vaccines to be halted and banned immediately. I mean, it's a great 180-degree U-turn. Better late than never. Well done, Angus. I wish you'd come back on my show, but there you go. Do you want to comment on that, Debbie?
No, just to say that, when BBC Future and other journalists and other media organisations and experts are asking why, what is the puzzle, perhaps they'd like to speak to Professor Dalgleish.
Yeah, exactly.
And that brings me on, Ahmed, you were just mentioning, and I thought how poignant that was. You were just mentioning the links to cancer, diabetes, obesity. And I just wanted to highlight these new weight loss jabs that are suddenly coming down the line. Not all of them are available on the NHS. Many people have to buy them privately, and they're not aware of the serious adverse reactions that you can have with these. And because they're buying them over the counter at a cost of about £80 a week, I believe, there's no monitoring. So you could be anorexic and still able to buy these weight loss jabs. But it goes on to talk about cancer and the risk of cancer with these weight loss jabs. And in the next slide, you'll see that it's referring to thyroid cancer. And I actually went to the Wegovy patient information leaflet to have a look. And it's correct. Excuse me. The patient information leaflet does say that if you have a history of thyroid cancer in your family, then a weight loss injection is not the thing that you should be taking. And I wonder how many people know this.
Well, I want to show you something. So basically, search engines are so dangerous. They really are, right? And I've been experimenting on what they're like. But basically, you type in, for example, Wegovy weight loss linked to cancer, and it comes up with an AI overview. Weight loss drugs like Wegovy may reduce the risk of certain cancers, but more research is needed. So straight away, what they're saying is the opposite. They're saying, no, it's great. It might actually reduce your risk of cancer. Look at this. And then so straight away, most people would just read the top headline and go, oh, actually, it might actually make me less likely to get cancer. Fantastic. But then you start digging deeper, and deeper. And then it's like, you start reading things and you start finding more and more articles. And it's like, when they were researching these drugs like Wegovy and Ozempic and semaglutide, whatever, they found that that with lab rats, the laboratory research did identify correlation between medullary thyroid cancers. And it was strong enough for the FDA to warrant a boxed warning. So again, look at the way it's couched. While researchers have found no incidents to date, and that's very telling, because if you're not looking, then you won't say there is anything. So it's all about how they word things. And they go, haven't found any kind of thyroid cancer in humans. Well, if you're not looking and if you're gaslighting your patients, then obviously, you're going to say there's no incidence of it. But if you dig deeper, I'm not going to do it right now, but if you dig deeper, you'll see multiple references to cancer in the lab rats. Now, why do they do animal testing? They do animal testing to see if a drug is safe or not, and if there's anything worrying, then that makes them hesitate, because if it's causing the rat to get sick, the whole point is, well, if it's bad for the rat, probably bad for the human. Well, guess what? Yeah, the rats are getting cancer. But then they turn around and say, oh, yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine for humans. It's all right. It's okay. And this is why I don't trust, especially, after COVID and the mRNA jabs, all these regulatory bodies that are meant to protect us, the public, from dodgy, dangerous big pharma, which we know, it's not a conspiracy, which we know from history, have lied about their drugs. They've lied about their safety. They've lied about their efficacy. They've lied about the risk profile and the complications. And they have paid billions in fees and in compensation. And they keep doing it again and again. And the reason why is whatever payment they have to dish out in fines is dwarfed by the profit. So they actually build in their finances, right? We're going to get caught. We're going to get fined. But you know what? Our margins are going to be so big. It's a factor we can cover in this. I mean, that's how they think. If you look into big pharma, Merck, Pfizer, all of them, GSK, they've all got significant fines for fraud and lying. They've lied in the past. Why are they not lying now? Why are they not lying in the future? So they've bought and captured all the regulatory bodies, the FDA, the MHRA, and the studies. They're all captured and co-opted. Anybody can go watch my podcast with Kim Witchak about how big pharma influences doctors, medical journals, colleges, licensing boards, medical associations. The tentacles are everywhere. So I just don't trust any of this stuff. I just do not trust any of this stuff. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to your presentation.
Well, yeah, because let's get back to the UK. Because the UK have got a national cancer strategy. Now, when I put this presentation together, it was before World Cancer Day on the 4th of February. And I did put on X, and I did pop it in your box as well, because a new cancer plan has come out only a couple of days ago. But this is the cancer strategy, and this is meant to be because we are the best in the world. The UK have always been trailblazers, or like to think that they're trailblazers in cancer. But that goes on to the cancer healthcare goals. So on the next slide, you'll see the cancer healthcare goals, where actually quite a lot, you might want to read that out, because I find some of the language there very ambiguous.
So cancer healthcare goals published 6th of December 2024, so just recently, just a couple of months ago. What we do. Cancer is one of the leading causes of morbidity and mortality in the UK, responsible for 25% of all UK deaths in 2021. 1 in 2 people born after 1960 are expected to be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. The Cancer Healthcare Goals Programme aims to make the UK a leading test bed. That's the key word there. They want us to be an experimental guinea pig lab rat type of place for oncology innovation. So these aren't tried and tested, proven technologies. They want to test on humans in the UK whether their drugs work or not by accelerating the development. So rather than going through rigorous research and animal testing and blah, 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 like the COVID shots, they want to accelerate everything. And what that means is they skip significantly important safety steps. Why? Because it's cheaper and quicker, not because it's safer. These things were there for a reason. It takes drug development for 10 years for a reason. Like if you listen to my podcast with Headley Reese, I map out exactly with him how drugs are developed. You know, even when you change a slight formulation, everything goes back to scratch. You have to do all the tests all over again, the animal testing, everything, because you don't know what difference that's made. I mean, that's how proper testing should be done, because every variable you need to take into consideration. And even when they take a drug that's developed in the lab, and they do all the experiments, when they start making mass production on a factory scale, because the production is slightly different, all the testing is repeated, because you never know how the change in the production of the chemical and the drug in the different ways that they do it, from small batches to large industrial scale, whether that influences the end properties of the drug, and then they retest it again. Everything is retested. Even if you want to change the outside of a packing of a drug, like the labels and the branding, it has to be submitted for further regulation, and everything goes through, and then you do an updated pill, all that kind of stuff. But they want to skip everything to accelerate it. That's the only way they can do it. You can only do it by taking shortcuts. And they want to do it by accelerating the development and commercialization. Commercialization is very simple. They want to make money of a new generation of cancer diagnostics. So they want to be able to test for cancer in your blood, in your stool, whatever, and therapeutics interventions, allowing patients to be diagnosed earlier and offered therapies specifically designed to target their cancer. Launched in November 22 and backed with 22.5 million of government funding, the Cancer Healthcare Goals Programme will support research to develop new immune-based cancer therapies, including cancer vaccines, as well as technologies that enable earlier, more effective cancer diagnosis. Now, the reason why I'm worried about this is none of these things have been proven to work. Screening in itself has multiple flaws, And there's concerns about the different ways that we do screening, and that one that we're picking up false positive and then putting people through unnecessary interventions and surgery and radiotherapy. And that, if this was really a case of reducing cancer, Debi, I'm writing a book, right? It's called Doc Malik's Simple Guide to Good Health. And it really is. It's about the simple steps that you can take in your life to minimize the risk of developing chronic disease, dementia, and cancer. And it really is quite simple. But the thing is, people have forgotten what it means to be healthy. We're fed so many lies on a day-to-day basis. And the truth is, to be healthy, 95% of it is about making the right choices and decisions and sifting through the lies that we have been bombarded with throughout our lives. Okay, and that's what my book's going to be. And you don't make any money. I'm not making money from selling supplements or tests or diagnoses or blood tests. None of that BS. And if the government really was sincere, they would be telling everyone about the same things that I've discovered. The simple steps to good health and how to minimize your risk of cancer. And it costs nothing. But that's the reason why they're not doing it. What they're doing is facilitating big pharma to profit from our misery. There is no desire to reduce the risk of cancer. They just want to profit from it. The cancer industry, I know I'm going on a bit, so apologies for this. I looked into drugs and who makes the most money, what field in drugs. And I thought it was vaccines or statins or antidepressants. It's not. It's not. I'm actually going to find a chart. But the cancer industry is $1 trillion industry. And just think about it. If you get a cure for cancer, if you get rid of most cancer, you lose $1 trillion industry. Why would a greedy capitalist cabal person want to do that? And why would cancer doctors who spend their whole life, their whole raison d'etre is doing cancer research and getting grants and getting money, why would you want to get rid of that? It doesn't make sense. Anyway, do you want to add to that?
Hi, me again. You're listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or on his Substack, or simply buy him a coffee with one of the donation links which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get back to the show.
Depopulation, perhaps?
Yeah.
Just saying. I mean, going back to this cancer agenda, just skip through a couple of slides just so you can explain to people as we go along. Because heading all of this, who's heading it? So it's this guy that I hadn't heard of, actually, Professor Peter Johnson, Southampton, but also Francis Crick. So the Francis Crick are heavily involved in this.
All right, I'm going to come to that. Hold on a sec. Can I just quickly show the screen that you sent me? So this was, I don't know, hopefully everybody can see it. You said, here's a snapshot of a mood board of the cancer agenda in the UK, and there's tons more. Are you getting the picture, UK residents? You're in the middle of the biggest cancer experiment in history. So I'm just going to read out some of the stuff. So you've talked about the Economic Times. Oracle's Larry Ellison says AI-driven cancer vaccine could be coming soon as Donald Trump announces a $500 billion investment. Yeah, that's quite worrying. So I was waiting for Trump, who's playing 5D chess, to come out and say mRNA jabs are dangerous, and he was wrong, and he was mistaken. But actually, day two, he stands next to this guy, Larry Ellison, who basically is as dodgy and sleazy as you can get. And they're going to push forward this mRNA. Then you got Illumina will pay $8 billion to acquire Grail, the Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos-backed cancer detection company. BioNTech has made a deal partnership with the UK government to provide up to 10,000 patients with preventative mRNA cancer immune therapy. Wow. Personalized mRNA cancer immune therapies. UK cements 10-year partnership with Moderna and major boost for vaccines and research. Government website, policy paper, the National Cancer Strategy to develop the best in the world. Cancer news, cancer research, created for each patient using AI. The mRNA vaccine could be produced robotically in just 48 hours. offering rapid and personalized treatment. I mean, this is such bullshit. £10 million funding for new program to help identify individualized cancer risk. Cambridge Cancer Research Hospital. So there's a dedicated hospital there now. Oxford and GSK launched 50 million immune prevention program to advance novel cancer research. And again, it's vaccination for cancer prevention. I mean, it's BS. I just told you.
That's the World Economic Forum at the top there, actually, too, also acknowledging what the UK is doing. I sent you a couple of mood boards, but there's not enough mood boards to cover all the news on cancer. It is literally daily it's coming out through the pipeline. And you know, I've got every single bit of evidence, and you just might want to just scroll through those screenshots and just pick out whichever ones you want, because every single bit of evidence and more is on there.
Right, here's another one. Tackling the impact of cancer on health, the economy and society. United Kingdom. Despite advances, cancer remains a significant public health challenge in the United Kingdom. Yeah, think about that. What do you mean by advances? What you mean is, despite the tremendous amount of money poured into research and drugs, it remains a significant problem. I would argue that the more money that they spend and the more drugs they spend, the bigger the problem becomes. Just think about that. Well, what does that tell you? And then the government UK website, major agreement to deliver new cancer vaccine trials. Groundbreaking new cancer treatments have moved a step closer with the signing of a major agreement between the government and BioNTech. So BioNTech's now going to be doing experiments on British people. The King's College London, King's leads the world's largest trial of cancer blood test. Can detect up to 50 types of cancer before symptoms even appear. So what the worrying thing about that is they're going to say everybody needs a blood test, you know, to save the NHS and pick up your cancer early. And then they say, oh, you got cancer. You got cancer. You're going to get cancer in 5 years' time. You need to take a cancer vaccine to stop it from happening. A cancer mRNA vaccine. And if you develop the cancer, oh, you know, well, it wasn't perfect. We knew you were going to get cancer anyway. So the test was right. It's a shame the vaccine didn't work. Let's try another vaccine. Let's try another drug. ECMC, don't know what that stands for. The Trials Acceleration Program, TAP. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, that's just, I mean, what I'm trying to show here is that there is a trial for everything. So this is actually accelerating trials for cancer. This is accelerating beyond what they're already accelerated. And we know that in the UK, the MHRA have been very efficient in passing trials very quickly and holding trials in parallel. So phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3 of trials will all be held together. And with Patrick Vallance and Melinda Gates's 100-day mission, then we could get these drugs down the line within 100 days. And of course, some of these things are going to be produced in 2 days, 48 hours, using AI.
It's ridiculous. So to me, some people might sound, oh, well, that's amazing that they can do it so fast. Oh my God, science is so incredible. To me, that's like horrific. It's like hell. It's so dystopian. It's like, oh my God, this is pure evil. So the government, again, Department of Health and Social Care, what we're doing to speed up clinical trials in the UK, government plans backed by £121 million. You know, I don't think the government's doing this ever to help us. And what's scary is that it's using our money, our taxpayers' money, to pay Pfizer and Moderna and BioNTech and whoever else to experiment on us and to profit from us and to make us sick. So there's another regulation that's come out just a couple of months ago, clinical trials regulation statement made on the 12th of December. And again, that's just about speeding up the trials and am I right?
Yes, yes.
See, this is desperately, desperately sad. And the thing is, look, Debbie, what makes me sad is that when it comes to cancer, people genuinely lose their shit. Like
yeah, they're scared.
They're scared. And what I mean by that is I know people who've had cancer and they were very skeptical of the NHS and doctors and traditional conventional medicine. But the moment they got cancer, they were so shit scared, they jumped on everything. They were like, oh, I need the immune therapy. Oh, I'm on this experimental treatment. Yeah, I need to do it. It's going to help me. I believe the doctors are going to. I said, for years you've told me and publicly that you don't trust doctors and they're lying. Now, why do you trust these doctors? And it's because people are terrified.
Test, seek and find is the catchphrase for Macmillan. So that's what they're looking for. Test, seek and find. Reminds you a bit of Metallica Seek and Destroy, doesn't it? But
wow. Okay, so going back to the tests, what makes me very nervous about that, you reminded me, is, look, all of us have got cancer right now in us. Like, most people don't understand this. We've all got cancer. And what happens is your immune system, when it's robust and healthy, goes around and mops them up. It just happens. And one of the beautiful things about fasting is you get this autophagy state, and your immune system, your defense system, your army is scavenging around, checking every nook and cranny of your body and goes, hey, you look dodgy, right? Nicking you and nabbing you and breaking you down. I'm going to, break you down into your constituent parts and remetabolize you and reuse you. And that's what happens every single day. And when you are metabolically unhealthy, you feed the cancer, you develop the cancer, and your immune system can't cope with it. The answer isn't vaccinations and immune therapy. The answer is to have a robust health system already in place to make sure that if you're carrying too much weight around your belly, to lose it, to start fasting, to stop eating crap food, to prioritize sleep and exercise, natural sunlight. And it goes on and on and on. It's all going to be in my book. It's going to be very straightforward. And so when the government tells you you need a blood test, I mean, how do we test the test? This test is going to turn around and say, oh, yeah, you've got lymphoma. And you're like, oh, what? What? Yeah, in 5 years' time, you're going to have a, life-ending lymphoma. And then you have chemo and this and that. Or you can just take this, look, mRNA vaccine. It's not even a jab. You just snort it up your nose. And people will be like, oh, okay. And then maybe the next step is, you know what, you're going to have it mandated. If you want life insurance and you need your job, you know what, you need to take your prophylactic vaccine and your prophylactic jab, your daily jab. And I think it's all about money, profit, and this. They're hell bent on getting mRNA into every single human being. I think that's what's driving it. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Because, everybody knows that is watching and listening to your podcast that mRNA has never been used successfully against cancer before. It's killed pretty much every animal that it's been tested on. So this is problem, solution, reaction. But, what I'm really desperate to get across is, and I think you've got a couple of slides on from the World Economic Forum, where you can see that clearly the United Kingdom is going to be the test bed. Everybody's looking towards the United Kingdom. And they say, here's what you need to know. The WEF let you know what you need to know. And what you need to know is that everything's going on in the UK.
Well, we'll come to that. We'll come back to that in a second. Anyway, so this slide, I'll explain that in a second to everybody, why that's the case. Peter Johnson, chair of the Cancer Healthcare Goals, launched the £11 million NIHR Invention for Innovation and OLS Cancer Healthcare Goals, Early Cancer Diagnosis, Clinical Validation and Evaluation. And again, that comes back to that testing business. Co-funded and awarded a $9 million grant from the Medical Research Council. Manifest Immunotherapy Platform. The Manifest Consortium is led by the Francis Crick Institute and is composed of academia, the NHS and industry partners. Manifest aims to expand and advance UK immunotherapy research and development capabilities, supporting better targeting and improved efficacy of these treatments. My dad had immune therapy. Immune therapy doesn't work. It's this idea in their head that they think that they can enhance your body's immune system, that your immune system is flawed, It's damaged. It's weakened. And you know what? They can do something to strengthen it. And it's just BS as far as I'm concerned. The reality is your immune system is wonderful. Don't trash it in the first place. Don't trash it in the first place. And then you don't need to have all this garbage to, in their words, try and fix it. Anyway, tackling the impact of cancer on health, the economy, and society, United Kingdom. Despite advances, this is one of your mood board slides. Cancer remains a significant public health challenge in the UK. And it talks about estimated 50,000 premature deaths from cancer every year. Average population life expectancy will be 2.2 years lower than if there were no cancer. You know what? It's all still gaslighting us about the mRNA jabs. Here's another infographic about the burden of cancer on individuals. And it's saying on average over 2023 to 2050, cancer will lead to an additional 6,800 cases of depression per year. Well, that's not very much. We don't talk about the mental health epidemic and what's actually causing that, the real cause of that. And it's just another information graphic. I mean, they're trying to just talk about cancer. Okay, here's the World Economic Forum, a historic leap in cancer vaccines. Here's what you need to know. November 2024, the UK's National Health Service has launched the world's first trial for cancer vaccine. 1 in 5 people worldwide will get cancer in their lifetime, and 20 million new cases were identified in 2022 alone. It's just more fear porn. Anyway,
well, 1 in 5. 1 in 5. That's the World Economic Forum. So how come the NHS is putting out 1 in 2? Is that not fair? That's misinformation, because the WHO and the WEF are both giving that statistic of 1 in 5.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you why I think it's the NHS they're doing this to?
I think I know, but please carry on.
So basically, the NHS is a captured market. It's the largest healthcare system in the world. And in the UK, as a citizen, you can't really opt out. Like, you just can't. If you're in a car crash, you get put in an ambulance and taken to hospital. And if you're unconscious or unable to, you're not, your mental state's not there, they can actually decide your treatment for you. The doctors can decide, they're not capable, they're not competent, they're unconscious, they're, whatever. They're delusional, they're sick, we can, delirious. We can do the consent for them. We can bypass consent.
Or even drunk.
Yeah.
Actually.
There you go. If you're drunk, whatever. So doctors can then say, right, they don't have capacity. It's for their best interest. We're making these decisions for them. Okay. So it's kind of scary. The system is also great. Like, if you are in a car accident, they can scoop you up, give you blood, treat you, fix you, patch you up. It's wonderful. I'm not going to diss that. That is good. But the majority of problems are chronic illness and disease, which has only exploded in the last 50 years. And then you have to ask yourself, is the National Health Service really the National Health Service, or is it the National Sick Care Service? It's about managing chronic disease, and it's all about drugs and pills. And the NHS is heavily regulated. It's very protocol-driven, guideline-driven. It's very standardized in that sense. You don't have doctors as mavericks anymore doing this and that. Everybody's following the instructions to the letter. Everything is documented and recorded. There's a lot of data, like a tremendous amount of large population-based data to see what is happening to people, which data is money. Data is gold in this information age. So big pharma and governments love to see the data and see what is happening to the population when there's an intervention, when there's a drug. And this data and this NHS population, we're just basically gold for big pharma around the world. They're harvesting us, literally, our information and profiting from that. And like I said, we're a captured population. We will have to take their drugs and their vaccines. And, when these trials get rolled out and people get told, these gullible, desperate people get told, you need to take this, they'll be like, okay. And then that data will be harvested and used for whatever around the world. Am I right?
Yeah, 100%. I've been campaigning for a very long time to scrap the NHS app because everybody's using the app. And I heard on the news this morning, actually, that I think it was 1,000 people a week get their phones stolen. So I'm not quite sure what happens to their medical data on the NHS app, but, that's controlled by Palantir, the NHS federated platform. But that's a whole new thing. But just going back very quickly, Ahmed, 1 in 6 people right now, as we're speaking, that are lying in hospital, 1 in 6 are there because of a serious adverse reaction from a drug. And that is a fact. So we mustn't forget that statistic at all. And I think, I don't know if you've got a bit of video. I put some videos across to you, because now would be a good time to show a kind of a fairly relaxed American television program with a celebrity doctor like we have here. And it's very interesting to know that those in the USA appear to know more than we do in the UK. But where are the USA looking for a cancer cure, a cancer vaccine? Where are they looking?
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's have a look. We'll share that screen, that video. Here we go. And then that. Right. Oh, can't hear it for some reason. That would help if I put the volume up. Sorry, excuse me, guys. I'm not so techie.
Yeah. So cancer vaccines, I describe it, Savannah, as just an absolutely new frontier for oncology. Cancer vaccines could have a place in being used alongside chemotherapy and immunotherapy. They might be used to prevent recurrence. They're also being studied to prevent a primary cancer in people who are at high risk. And if it sounds familiar to folks out there when I say they're using these advances in mRNA technology, you would be correct. That's the same technology that we used for the COVID vaccine. And what we're really following carefully, Savannah, is Britain's NHS is launching something called the Cancer Vaccine Launchpad. They're hoping to fast track thousands of patients into clinical trials, and we are going to see that data, and it's going to help the population here as well. Lots to look forward to. Dr. Ace. Yeah.
So let's just see that.
Clinical trials, and we're hoping to fast track thousands of patients into clinical trials, and we are going to see that data, and it's going to help the population here as well.
Wow. Is that not fracking terrifying? And then let's have a listen to this guy. Can we listen to this guy now, please?
Of course.
This is also terrifying.
One of the most exciting things we're working on, using the tools that Sam and Masa are providing, is a cancer vaccine. It's very interesting. It turns out, I'll be quick, all of our cancers, cancer tumors, little fragments of those tumors float around in your blood. So you can do early cancer detection. If you can do it using AI, you can do early cancer detection with a blood test.
He was about to say AI.
And if you can do it using AI, you can do detection with a blood test. And using AI to look at the blood test, you can find the cancers that are actually seriously threatening the person. So we can, again, cancer diagnosis using AI has the promise of just being a simple blood test. Then beyond that, once we gene sequence that cancer tumor, you can then vaccinate the person, design a vaccine for every individual person to vaccinate them against that cancer. And you can make that vaccine, that mRNA vaccine, you can make that robotically, again, using AI in about 48 hours. So imagine early cancer detection, the development of a cancer vaccine for your particular cancer aimed at you, and have that vaccine available in 48 hours. This is the promise of AI and the promise of the future.
So day 2, Trump is in power, and it looks like they're in cahoots with the UK. Everything's married up. 48 hours. It's just 48 hours. So, this guy, Larry Ellison, head of Oracle, big tech billionaire, he knows what's going on in the UK. 48 hours, same thing that we were talking about in the UK. Rapid development, prevention, detection, production of mRNA vaccine. Again, lockstep. Day 2, in power, and Trump's nodding and going, yeah, isn't this great? Instead of going, whoa, 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 mRNA tech is the most dangerous thing that's ever happened to us. We should stop this. Moratorium. This is a disaster. This is a shit show. Trump is like, great, fantastic. I'm facilitating this Stargate, Project Stargate. Now, everyone who's listening who loves Trump and thinks, but he's amazing. He's like so fantastic. And, I had someone, a previous guest of mine, message me. I'm going to read out to you the message. They said, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, what has Trump done? Mexico has caved in. Panama's caved in. Colombia, Venezuela caved in. Canada is panicking. Mass deportations. Hostages are home. DEI programs have ended. Bureaucracy is slashed. FBI purges are underway. US aid funding is cancelled. Gender ideology is eliminated. Doge has already saved billions. 51 intel agents have lost their clearance. Border crossings have dropped by 93%. Reservoirs are filling up in California. These are just to name a few developments. So, Debi, shouldn't we be happy that Trump's in power? What's your goddamn problem with Trump and everything he's doing?
What's my problem? I don't think anybody's ever coming in to save us. I think we have to save ourselves. Like you've said, we have to look after ourselves. Clearly, Trump has an agenda, and that is to make America great again. It's not to make Europe great again. It's not to make the UK great again, or Greenland, or Canada. It's to make America great again. And I believe his first term was setting everything in place so that when he came in for the second term, it was like, boom, everything hits us at once. And, why haven't we, the UK, been hit by these trade tariffs? Why all of a sudden are we the best? I mean, I know we're meant to be best friends, but what's on the table? And we quite clearly know that the NHS is on the table. Trump has made no secret of that. He said everything is on the table.
By the way, these trade tariffs are not a good thing. These trade tariffs are actually damaging to other countries. So I think the fact that we don't have the trade tariffs is because we've got a special deal going on. And
What is that special deal? Is that the NHS? Is that Palantir? Is that the NHS Federated Platform? Is that the United States saying, well, actually, we have all the pharmaceutical companies, we've got the money, we've got the facilities, we're going to use the United Kingdom as a pipeline, as a real life living laboratory for cancer?
I think it's more than that. So I think what they're using is the reputation of the NHS, of the scientific institutions, of Oxford, of Cambridge.
Golden Triangle, yeah.
What they're doing is prostituting out the reputation of the NHS and the UK academia and the Wellcome Trust and all this kind of stuff. And then what they'll say is, and then they'll roll out your professors and the research papers and the fake sham trials, okay, and go, look, the UK has proven this technology works. Look, the UK Oxford University is recommending it. The UK's Cambridge University is recommending it.
Exactly.
This professor with hello, yes, I've done a study and I've proven this is working out. Yes, this posh English person is now saying this is great. Well, if they're saying it worked, it must be. It must. So it's literally all about prostituting whatever fracking reputation we still have to sell their garbage. So imagine you've got a snake oil potion, all right? And if you go to some bum and say, hey, Mr. Bum, can you sell this snake oil potion to the average person on the street? And he goes out and goes, hello, okay, everybody, you should take this. But no one's going to take notice of him. But then if you get a gentleman in a very smart suit and a very posh voice come out and go, everybody, I've discovered this amazing thing. Everybody be like, oh, their ears will prick up. They'll take notice. Oh, well, that person's smartly dressed and well-spoken and articulate. That must be the real deal. I'm not going to listen to that bum. I'm going to listen. That's what we've become.
Yeah.
We've just become that.
Yeah, we have. And the United Kingdom, as far as I can see, the assets that our country has, we don't manufacture, we don't provide anything. So we have our population, us. We have the NHS, we have the Golden Triangle and universities and academia. And of course, we have the City of London. And we have the royal family, which maybe we'll talk about briefly. But, you know, as a result of all of this, what has that enabled? And that's kicked off this NHS cancer vaccine launchpad, which I'm sure you'll want to say a bit more about.
Yeah, so back to your slides. What this is again, NHS England website. It's not conspiracy, it's real. NHS Cancer Vaccine Launchpad. The NHS Cancer Vaccine Launchpad is a platform that will speed up access to messenger mRNA personalized cancer vaccine clinical trials for people who have been diagnosed with cancer. It will also accelerate the development of cancer vaccines as a form of cancer. Now, again, just want to make it clear. The reason why I'm absolutely livid about this absolute nonsense, is the fact that we're they're gaslighting the population. They created a flawed product, mRNA tech, or actually maybe it's not flawed. Maybe it's doing exactly what it's designed to do, which is to maim and kill and make people infertile and depopulate us. They've sold us this crock of shit, wrapped it up, and with fear porn and coercion, injected billions of people with it. Now people are developing cancers. Their immune systems are wrecked. We know it wrecks their immune system, and that's how your immune system clears up the cancer. And instead of putting the hands up and saying, sorry, we got it wrong, instead of people being hung for treason and treachery and democide, governments, politicians, including Trump, Elon Musk, your Farages and Tices and God knows who else, they're all like silent or stump about this, and the authorities are now pushing forward, saying, "Yeah, we're gonna rapidly develop and deploy more of this stuff and get UK people as guinea pigs trialing it." Like I said, it goes back to my original tweet. It's so insane, so evil that your average person can't comprehend it. It's just too much. It's mental. Anyway, let's move on because we don't have that much time left. I've got another guest coming in, and I had to fit you in, by the way, so I'm just wary of the time. So this is another slide. Utilizing the unique benefit of the NHS as an innovation partner, the collaboration aims to provide up to 10,000 patients. So that's BioNTech.
Yeah, just skip through, Ahmed, because there's a lot, and there's even more. This is just the tip of the iceberg, but just skip through because you can see that there are new cancer vaccine trials and this whole BioNTech. Let's just make it clear that BioNTech are inextricably linked to Pfizer. They will be forever. They are one in the same. So we've got regional hubs being set up, and we've got also laboratories being set up all over England with BioNTech.
Yeah.
So please remember that they're already here.
So UK Parliament clinical trials regulation, again, they're going to cement the UK as a leading destination for international trials. I mean, literally is all about making us guinea pigs. Cancer Project Zero is to eliminate, the ambition is to one day eliminate cancer as a cause of death. Again, this is BS. They've just been doing this for decades now, and all we've seen.
What I would say about that document, and there's a couple more slides, and you'll see some of the people involved in it, including Lord Darcy. They've each written a chapter. And this AstraZeneca Project Zero, you've heard of Net Zero. This is Project Zero. This is eliminating cancer as a cause of death. And this document has been written by pharmaceuticals, pharmaceutical companies. It's been written by charities. So you've got the Cancer Research UK, you've got Macmillan, you've got Lord Darcy, you've got AstraZeneca, you've got other charities there as well. So the Less Survivable Cancers Task Force, the Cancer Black Care. So this is a big document, and I would urge people to go and have a look at it.
And all of these people, all of these institutions, AstraZeneca, Cancer Research UK. I'm sorry. I've been very critical of all of this cancer research industry. I think it's a complete sham.
Scam.
It's a scam. They have taken billions and billions of people, good intentioned people who've lost people, who then go, oh, I want to help make sure that no one else gets cancer. I don't want anyone else to suffer like my family member did. And then they give hundreds, thousands of pounds to these research institutes who've got these glass, concrete, shiny buildings in London, well-paid salaries, spend tons of money on their own expenses, with a little bit going to actual research, which is flawed from the get-go. No one talks about intermittent fasting. No one talks about keto diet. No one talks about ketosis. No one talks about the metabolic origin of cancer. It's all driven to facilitate big pharma and oncological drugs. It's a scam. Anyway, back to this. Artificial intelligence. The next slide is Lord Darzai talking about AI. I mean, it's just a joke. It's all a joke.
The conflicts of interests are absolutely horrific. It just goes on and on. And I thought that was very interesting because they're saying clearly that the NHS, which I've actually renamed the National Cancer Service, but the NHS is now a research-driven health service. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the research is driven on us. And as you've said, we are the guinea pigs. That's who we are, the guinea pigs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then at AstraZeneca, sustainability. I freaking hate that word. This is a communitarianism word. Partnerships, alliances, and recognition. So communitarianism is basically fascism. It's basically getting crony capitalism, government, funding, and communism and technocracy all wrapped up together. And they use words like stakeholder capitalism and doing the best for the community, for the greater good, collaboration, partnership, because all of these things sound nice. I mean, why would you not want to do all of that? But it's fundamentally evil. I mean, again, AstraZeneca behind such a dangerous vaccine that ended up getting pulled, instead of being punished, slapped on the wrist, what did you do wrong? What were the failings? You rapidly developed this dangerous product and injected millions with it. The head of it got a honorary title. They've made profits, and where's the censor? And instead of if I did something really bad, Debbie, look, if I did something criminal, or I messed up big time, do you know what I would do? I would lay low. I would not want attention. I'd be so embarrassed. I'd be like, I just want to just meld into the background and hope people will forget me. What I wouldn't do is go even more public and shout and scream about the next scam I'm about to do. I mean, and that's what these companies are all doing. Rather than showing any humility and remorse, they're just even going further because they know they've got the full backing and weight of the military industrial complex, the media industrial complex, the government, the authorities, the educational bodies, everybody. And that means us, the human beings at the bottom, we need to be hyper vigilant.
And I have to say that DARPA and BARDA are very heavily involved in all of this cancer agenda. But Sir Pascal Soriot, who's the CEO of AstraZeneca, I want everybody to remember that AstraZeneca are partnered with Terra Carta, which is King Charles's Earth Charter. So they are one of the major partners with Terra Carta. And of course, you've got a big royal influence at the moment with 3 members of the royal family, the Duchess of York with breast cancer and melanoma, the Princess of Wales and King Charles himself, all currently with a cancer diagnosis.
Where is Kate Middleton right now?
She's doing public events, I believe. I don't think she's doing that many of them, but she's taking her time to recover.
But is it even true, or do you think even that's just a side?
That's a really good question, and I don't know the answer to that. What I will say is that people that I know with cancer certainly don't look. I mean, she looks incredibly well, I'm pleased to say, and she looks as though she's she looks incredible. She doesn't look like the people that I'm seeing that have suffered cancer or have gone through chemotherapy. But it is interesting to know that King Charles is very good friends with President Trump, and Melania is actually pen pals with King Charles, and that there has been a meeting or a state visit planned, I believe, for later this year at Windsor. And that takes us back to the whole American thing and the connection between Project Stargate, which was never designed for cancer vaccines. And people might want to go and look at Karen Kingston's incredible interview with regards to mRNA, cancer vaccines and Project Stargate, because Project Stargate project was always a military project. It was never. It was the biggest shock for pretty much everyone when they announced.
What was Stargate originally about then?
It's military. It's about being prepared. It's about having your military prepared, having to put in emergency procedures, etc., emergency measures. Never once was it ever designed or intended for cancer vaccines, which is what it appears to be. And let's not forget that Peter Thiel of Palantir, who run the NHS Federated platform, he, alongside Elon Musk, bankrolled Donald Trump's campaign.
Yeah.
So the United States doesn't appear to have an administration anymore. It seems to have more of a public-private philanthropic partnership, to be honest, than more of an administration. But these people have all got together for Project Stargate, and just zip through things quickly because you'll soon see the tie-ups that are going on.
Yeah, but can I quickly just say something? For $500 billion, America could get rid of homelessness. It could pay off every single one of its citizens' medical debts. It could, which is the number one reason why they get into debt. Americans get into debt. It would pay off all of their American undergraduate school fees and postgraduate school fees and university fees. It would basically get rid of all their debt, and it would still leave plenty of money left for infrastructure. All that crumbling infrastructure could be fixed. $500 billion is a lot.
But China doing it for cheap, deep seek. You see, this is the panic now. It's like, oh my goodness, China have got this amazing AI scheme going on, and they've done it really on the cheap. So therefore, no one else knows quite how to do it that cheap. So now Project Stargate's been launched at a huge $500 billion.
Yeah, well, can I just say something? I think China is actually in partnership with the West, and they work off each other. They just create this idea that they're in conflict when actually they're both working for each other, and they need someone to bounce off of, if that makes sense. Like a fake adversary. It just is convenient for them all. Anyway, are we done?
No, carry on. Just you've seen that. I just want to show you Texas. We've done a trade deal with Texas. The United Kingdom has already done a trade deal with Texas, specifically for chemicals, life sciences. And it's this AI center that Larry Ellison is setting up is going to be in Abilene, in the middle of Texas there. And it's a very military strategic point, actually. I just wanted to make that point of where it's going to go. And the people that signed this trade deal with Texas, it was back in March, and that is the now Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch. She did that on Rishi Sunak's watch. Greg Abbott went to Downing Street. And I just wanted to highlight that the UK is the lead partner with Texas. I think they do 18.2 billion trade in 2023. But just to kind of round everything off, I guess everything comes back to the USA Grail. For example, the cancer tests, the Galleri trial. Grail was a company, the testing company that was set up by Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. It's now been bought out by Illumina. But it's not just Grail, it's cancer research are involved in this too. So cancer research are looking at AI and mRNA vaccines in 48 hours. So that's exactly the same as that we've just heard in the USA, 48 hours, 2 days. And then the Lancet, we know the Lancet have enrolled thousands in trials, in personalised mRNA trials. The BBC reports that that a gentleman has already had the first personalised lung cancer vaccine in the UK. Oxford have announced this £50 million immunoprevention programme to advance cancer research, as you spoke about. And then BioNTech, BioNTech are really huge in this. And we mustn't forget Katalin Kariko and Drew Weissman, who invented the COVID-19. And in 15 minutes from sequencing, they had the vaccine and won the Nobel prize. They are now in partnership with the UK government. The expansion goes on forever. We've got a vaccine manufacturing innovation centre opening 12 months early. So we need vaccine supply leads. We've got Moderna 10-year partnerships involving Jonathan Van Tam, our Deputy Chief Medical Officer, you might remember. And then we've also got, we're not having any hospitals opening, we're having them closing, but we're also having Cambridge Cancer Research Hospital in a biomedical campus. So this is a cancer agenda, and it is here with us, Ahmed, in the United Kingdom. And it seems to be that we've normalised it. And I just wanted the British public to know that these tests that are coming through their doors, the bowel tests, the invitations for blood tests, if you're healthy, do you trust the test? Who knows what the test is saying, and why, when we have 7 million on the waiting list, are we testing young, healthy people? Why?
Yeah. I'm not telling people what to do, but you know what I would tell my family is don't go see your GP. Don't unsubscribe from any data sharing thing. Opt out, and there's so many different places you have to do it from, and it's very difficult and complicated. Opt out of everything.
Yeah.
Don't go to the GP. Don't do any blood tests and DNA tests or swabbing. And buy my book when it comes out and send it to all your family as well. And stay healthy. Stay fit and healthy. And don't get sick in the first place. And if you do get cancer, there's lots of different ways that you can treat it. And also, do you know what? If it really is that bad and it's spread, don't be scared.
No,
you know what? Accept your death. It's going to happen to everyone. It's an inevitability. We can't dodge it. And I would rather die with honor and dignity and carve out the best memories that I've got left than squeeze out an extra day or two or month, but in doing so spend a year going from one hospital to another in a clinic and immune therapy and chemotherapy and surgery and radiotherapy and then vaccines and God knows what else, and being a lab rat and being pricked and this and that, and having nothing but misery for a year. And I hate to say this, Debbie, I've known a lot of people who've gone through that. They've taken the latter route rather than make happy memories and prepare for their death, talk about their funeral, prepare for what their funeral party should look like and blah, blah, blah. Instead of doing all that and just accepting their fate and getting ready for the next step in their soul's journey, they panic and they're fearful and they're scrabbling around. And it's like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be scared of death. There's nothing to be scared of. It's easy for me to say. I honestly am not scared of death. But sadly, a lot of people are. Right, I really need to wrap up. Debbie, listen, it's been fantastic chatting to you. I'm really glad we did it second time round like this. What do you think?
I'm really glad too, but I would say that there is a young people's cancer plan just about to be launched. So the agenda's going on every single day. There's news coming out, and I would say also if you would be considering scrapping the NHS app because it's a spy in your pocket.
100%.
I would also say don't be scared. It's do no harm. It's tender loving care. And to anybody that's listening or watching, catch a hug. We all need those. They're free. They never run out, and they make you smile and they make you feel better. Touch and hug, and just try to be happy because they don't want you to be happy. And spending time with your family and creating memories and time to share is really precious.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Listen, Last question. You're on your deathbed next week. You're going to meet your maker. Before you pass on, what advice would you give to your loved ones?
I would say question everything and make the most of every second with people that you love, trust, and that mean something to you. Every single second, be grateful for those that you love, that you trust, and that who know you.
Beautiful. Debi, listen, thank you so much. God bless you. Keep up your good work. And I'm very grateful for you taking the time out to make this presentation and share it with me and the audience.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Ahmed. It's been an absolute pleasure, and God bless to everybody listening and watching out there too.
I, Ahmed Malik, am a private civilian protected by the Geneva Convention. My Substack, social media posts, and podcasts are my personal experiences, observations, and opinions. This information is for educational purposes only. Although I am a doctor, I am not your doctor, and I am not providing medical or legal advice to you or to the wider public. I am not licensed or registered with the GMC or any other licensing board. The responsibility for the interpretation, due diligence, and use of the information from my Substack and my podcast lies with you, the viewer and/or listener. Please do your research and use your discernment. It is not my intention to harass, intimidate, offend, defame, conspire, blackmail, coerce, or cause anxiety, alarm, or distress to any man or woman, and the information presented here is done so with peaceful and honourable intentions. Enjoy, folks.